further ado, let me bring in my next special guest. He's the GM of OTX Boxing, Overtime Boxing. My man Brandon Rhodes is in the building.
What's good, brother? How you doing?
Yo, Brandon, what's up, man? Good to see you, brother.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I appreciate that intro, man.
Nah, for real, man. Listen,
moving the culture over here.
I love to see it. I love to see it. So we actually were watching the Overtime fight as a community. I was on live. We were watching the fight. Hopefully, y'all don't copyright me because we was all watching the fight together. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully,
we appreciate the love. All the distribution is good distribution.
All right. So let me ask you this, because there's a lot going on just in the sport of boxing and Overtime in particular. Can you talk to me about the event that just took place? Like, you know, Elijah Pierce, O'Shea Jones, a lot of the fighters that you're building up. Can you tell me about this last event and, like, I guess what it took to kind of put this thing together?
Yeah, man. Look, with OTX, we've been going on a crazy run, right? A crazy pace of growth. We started from scratch 2 years ago with our first show. Now we're at 15 shows. Atlanta's always been our home, and this was OTX15 in the A, and it was a record-setting show for us. So we sold out our biggest arena at the Tabernacle. We did over 800,000 live viewers for that event.
Wow.
We had what we'll probably get to, but we had Bevel come in as a sponsor for the first time they've done boxing and had a ringside barber experience.
Love that.
Subway come in for the KO bonus. So I love when a brand can come in and enhance the innovation we're already doing, right? The money round, the KO bonus, really trying to do things different. But from a fight perspective, I mean, bro, that was a crazy show. I hope you saw it from start to finish, right? Like, one of the things that we did for this show is, you know, we implemented this new idea called pink slips, right? So did you catch that? Did you see that?
I did see it. Can you explain it for the people who
let me explain it. Let me take you on a journey, right? So when OTX first started, we knew that we're not going to have the same, you know, budget, the same number of fighters, the same distribution as a Top Rank, as a Matchroom, right? So we had to lean on innovation. That's all we care about, right? Is moving the needle, doing something new. And what we realized is that, you know, a lot of people started taking notice. So first it was on social, right? Like our voice was different, our content was different, our storytelling. And then we started to see that slowly became the language of boxing on the internet, right? Like people like yourself, people like us, like we're doing something new, and you kind of see the influence, right? Second, we started implementing all these new rules, smaller ring size, KO bonuses, but a money round bonus. So in the first round and the last round, it's an escalated bonus. And why is that? Because when they come out, you want to get immediate action, especially for a young prospect. If they get a money round KO bonus in the first round, that's a nice check. So right. Coming out about that action. And then the last round, if you're up and you're winning and you're dominating, you might just coast. But now you can take home some extra bread. So you're going to have action from start to finish.
Hold on. So let me ask you, is it like if you win the first round, you get a bonus for that? If you win the last round, you get a bonus for that?
If you get a KO anytime in OTX, you get a bonus. Full stop. It's money on the table. But if you get it in the first or the last round, that bonus basically doubles.
Oh, shit.
So now you're incentivized to come out hot and you end strong. Because a lot of times what happens is, you know, you get an A side, B side fight, and by the, you know, whatever, 7th round out of 10, you already know what happened.
Right.
Boring. But now if you're that fighter and you say, hey, I might be able to double up my purse.
Hold on, you cut out, brother. The volume cut out just now. I don't think you on mute. Can y'all hear him, chat? Or was it just me? Can y'all hear him, chat? Chat, let me know. First of all, hit the like button. We got 500 people in here with 250 likes. Y'all bugging out. Hit the goddamn like button, bro. Hold up. Let me see. Chat, can y'all hear him? Nah, they saying, yo, they can't hear you. Yeah, maybe come out and come back in. Oh, wait, here we go. Here we go. Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So I was just saying we want to incentivize action from the beginning of the fight to the end of the fight. So that's why we created these new rules. And then obviously we have the overtime round. So there's no draws in OTX, which is just
I love that.
Bro, like it's every time it's happened, it's been special. Like the arena's gone crazy, the clips go viral. But I think the most special thing for me was I was able to sit down and have a post-fight celebration with Ronnie Shields and his team when Cats won our tournament. And he told me, as an OG in the game, giving me legendary stories of Sweet Pea and all these things, that he loves the overtime round because it allows him to train his fighters differently. Able to push them to do an extra round, push them to do an extra rep, do an extra sprint. And I was like, damn, like our ideas are really impacting not only the culture of boxing, but the training and like changing the way that a legend can do his business. So that was special. So long story short, going back to Pink Slips, we started seeing all these things in boxing, like, oh, we're going to shrink the ring as the rounds go on. We're going to add in these bonuses and things. And I was like, okay, so we've been doing this for 2 years, but we got to keep going. We got to keep doing it. So Pink Slips is a concept where we have 2 unsigned fighters. For this first one, they were both undefeated, both 8-0. And they fight each other, and the winner of it gets an automatic comeback fight on OTX, and the loser can never fight on OTX again. So the idea of Pink Slips came from like the Fast and Furious, right? If you watch that movie and they drag race, each owner of the car has a pink slip.
Yeah.
They say, I'm racing you for pink slips.
Right.
So now I'm fighting for pink slips. So whoever wins that fight comes back, and it's a 50-50 fight. It's a banger. And it's just, the stakes are so high because we're giving these guys an opportunity, or girls an opportunity, to basically get down with OTX. And that's, invaluable if you just look at what we've done for all these fighters and growing their following and making them go viral and all this.
I love that. So tell me, how do you guys, I guess, come up with all these ideas? I feel like there's so many new things that are happening with the sport when it comes to OTX. And like, obviously the one you said, the most famous one, the one everybody knows, is just there's the overtime round. If there's a draw and the judges feel like, it's too close, we need one more round to feel like who's the victor. How do you guys decide as a team where it's like, all right, these are the things we want? Like, how did y'all come up with the overtime round thing? How did that happen?
Yeah, man. I mean, look, I got a great team, and we're all young and hungry and thinking about these things. Like, it's our push. Overtime has always been like that. It's our push to be innovative, to be fast, to change the game. So that's just naturally how we approach everything that we do, right? Like, we never look at it and say, oh, this is how it's been done, or this is how so-and-so is doing it, we should do it that way. Quite the opposite, actually. Like, we might look more at maybe UFC or WWE or fashion or music for inspiration of different things. And part of it too is like, would a Top Rank be able to do this, right? They've been in business for so long. Like, if they did this, fans might revolt. Whereas if we do it, it's a fit with our brand. So we just dissect the sport, bro. Like, myself, Britton as well, my partner in crime, we both boxed. The reason why I started OTX in the first place is because I was boxing amateur. I picked it up in 2020. I did the New York Golden Gloves 2 years in a row. But through that whole process of like spending thousands of hours in the gym, sparring with the young pros, hearing the stories, it was just like, man, there's the path like from amateur to pro is just completely non-existent anymore. Like, the Olympics has lost a little bit of relevance, at least in the US. And it used to be that way. If you were a gold medalist, like, you were a star, right?
Yeah.
Boy, Sugar Ray, Muhammad Ali, going all the way back, you were just automatically a star. And that's not the case anymore. So I felt that, we could be that pathway to helping these young fighters tell their story and become known and become a star. But we just sit in the whiteboard in the room and just ideate and cook and just think of ideas, like all the different elements of boxing. Like, we want to try open scoring, right? Like, we want to do different things to keep the judges accountable. Like, we have a lot of ideas, and some of these ideas aren't even new. It's just about having the courage to execute it. Right? But the overtime round I think it's pretty simple. Like, it's just, I'm fans of all sports: basketball, football, soccer, etc. Yeah. In basketball, there's no draw. In football, there's no draw. And in boxing, when you have this mega fight, like, think about Canelo Triple G won, which I believe Triple G won, by the way. But if you get that fight, everyone's deflated in the audience after that whole build up, months and months of press tours, training, going to battle, a beautiful fight, and then everybody leaves pissed off.
Yeah.
Just imagine if you had an overtime round, what would happen? The arena would shake, like it would go crazy.
Right.
So that's where the idea came from. It's just simple, like being a fan of other sports. Like every time a draw happens in boxing, nobody's ever happy.
Right.
I've seen it. Not
we watched all of that for this.
Yeah. I mean, look at Lamont and Tank, right? Like you were there. I wasn't at that fight, but you know, people are.
I wasn't at that fight either. Actually, I got banned because Tank and I had a little discrepancy. But
right.
yeah, hold on. But let me ask you this, because a lot of the fans, of boxing, they want to get into the business of boxing. They try to understand the business. A lot of people don't know shit about boxing. Word to Roger Mayweather. And you're one of the guys that are leading the charge in terms of the business of boxing. A lot of the things that we hear is like boxing's such a shady business, and it's like it's really difficult, and it's a lot of shady characters. Can you speak to that? Just the business of boxing? Do you find that it is really like the jungle and the shadiness? Like, do you guys experience that as well?
I think the closest example to boxing is music. So if anybody knows the music business, is very similar, right? In basketball, that's where I spend a lot of my time. I worked at Gatorade. I'm in the marketing department for 5 years. I've been at Overtime for 7 years. So like 5 years before we started boxing, I was here. So I've been in basketball, football, all the other sports, and there's way more structure, right? So there's standard contracts, there's collective bargaining, there's, go to college, go to the pros, tried and true pathways of becoming known and becoming a star. Agents have to be certified. Right. So there's all of these barriers to entry into those sports. Now you're still going to have those things, right? Oh, a kid who's special, like coming up, their uncle or their cousin or whoever might attach, and you have that thing to deal with. But generally at the pro level, it's a very organized and easy to understand system with, if you get drafted in this position, this is your rookie contract. If you do well and you get to the All NBA, this is your contract extension max. Like all that stuff is just known.
Set in stone already.
Right. Whereas in boxing, there's none of that, right? There's the state commissions, state by state, which have rules. There's obviously the sanctioning bodies, but there's a lot less barrier to entry to get into the business. So if you're a guy with some money, no matter how you got that money, you might be able to sign fighters and create a stable or be a manager. So they might not even know the business themselves. So when you're dealing with people who don't understand certain things about the business, then it becomes really difficult.
Right.
So that's a lot of the, that's why people say that a lot. I mean, obviously there's just, shady people in any industry. But I think it's a lot of people who haven't had experiences in a professional setting that are in, because there's not a barrier.
Got you. The chat, the nature of my chat, they make jokes on everyone that comes up. They say that you look like Terrence J. How do you feel about that?
I've heard that one before. I'll take it as a compliment. I've heard a lot of different things. I've heard when I used to hoop, people say Russell Westbrook.
Oh, Westbrook. Okay.
I don't see that one as much, but yeah, I'm cool with the Terrence J.
Terrence J. All right. Well, let me ask you this, because I think one of the most interesting things, with you kind of building your stable, I see right behind you, I believe that's Lyanna Cruz.
Yeah.
You have Elijah Pierce. You have O'Shea Jones. How do you, there goes Elijah. Yep. How do you decide who is, fit for OTX, where it's like, all right, we want to sign this guy? How do you decide that as a company?
Yeah, it's a complex system, but in the beginning, when we first started, we did 4 shows in 1 month in Atlanta. So all the boxing people, because I'm fresh to boxing at that time, said I was crazy, and I didn't really know that, how much went into it. And then I realized, okay, I am crazy to do 4 shows in 1 month. But the reason we did it was because it had to be a tent pole. It had to be something that people could pay attention to. And we got the sponsors to pay attention. We got we got to deal with the zone. We had 4 sold out shows in a row. And by the 4th show, I had to turn my phone off because so many people, celebrities, athletes, politicians were hitting me up. And I was like, I can't even say no. Like, I got to turn my phone off.
Right.
So that first year was a luxury because we didn't sign any fighter to a multi-fight deal. So we made 50 fights for over 4 weeks, and we could basically test and see like who's really like that. Who does the audience gravitate towards? Who moves tickets? Who has the skill set? So actually, Lyanna, actually everyone in this background behind me. So Lyanna, O'Shea, Scoob, and Pierce, the Wolf.
I like Kurt Scooby. That's Kurt Scooby.
Yeah, Kurt. That's Kurt Scooby.
Yeah, we like him. All right.
Yeah, and then who's up here is that's Gio Marquez, Dante Lane's over there. So we were able to basically get a visual on everybody, see how they fight, see how they react. And then we signed a select few out of that first run of the 100 fighters that we got to look at. But those were all, majority of them were 50-50 fights, like really tough, just good fights.
Yeah.
So then we selected maybe 8 or so. But then going from there, I think of it as a multi-pronged approach, right? So first and foremost is like, can you fight? I mean, that sounds obvious, but sometimes it's not that obvious, right? So I have not only myself and Britain, but my team. I have a great matchmaker, a future Hall of Fame matchmaker, I believe. We know coaches and we go to gyms all across the country to basically understand, like, are there diamonds in the rough? Who can fight? And then, we do this thing called the Proving Ground, where we set up sparring events in different cities where we're able to see, talent that you might not know of. Like Makai Phillips, who just fought in Golden Boy, he fought at the Proving Ground. And I saw him and I was like, this kid is nice. Like, we haven't signed him, but he's on the radar of somebody that's interesting, right? And then he just did his thing on Golden Boy. So that's one of the ways we do it. And then there's just your resume, right? How many national championships have you won? How many, what are your accolades, right? Have you won an international tournament? Have you won a world tournament? This is more so for someone coming out the amateur.
Yeah.
And then you add on all the other things. So do you have a community, a social following already that we can amplify? Do you have a good personality, right? Do you understand and lean into the promotion that we want to do? Because not every fighter wants to do that, right? Not every fighter wants to be on camera. Not everyone wants somebody in camp with them filming and doing social clips and doing funny stuff.
Yeah.
So that's a weed out. And then how professional are you and your team, right? Are you going to show up on time? Are you going to make the weight? Like, these are things that get overlooked. I mean, we've seen it countless times where a show gets blown up because the main event or a fighter doesn't make the weight. So all those things go into the pot, and we stir that up and we cook up and we have a conversation. But we're very selective about the fighters we sign because there's only so many slots on a card, and every fighter, we have to believe, not only can be a world champion but can be a star in the sport.
Absolutely. They're asking what the X means in OTX.
It's just basically a shorthand for overtime boxing. There's an X in boxing. It sounds cool. We have a hand sign, the X, and then we're workshopping a little handshake. So everything that we do is infused with something cultural, something that people can latch onto. So anytime you see a picture of me on Instagram, you're probably going to see me with a fighter throwing up the X. Okay. That's very intentional, because over time when we started, we did the O. So then we're like, okay, we need our own thing for OTX, the X. So when I pull up to, like, I train at Gleason's down here in Dumbo, but any gym I pull up to in the world, they basically, when I roll in with my overtime shorts, they'll be like, oh, OTX in the building, what's up? So it's just another thing that we like to do.
I love that. Come on, y'all stupid. Wakanda forever. Y'all so stupid.
No, Wakanda is this.
Yeah,
OTX is this.
I don't know, man. Y'all so my chat is crazy, man. They just joke all. That's all they do.
Hey, I appreciate that. Allow me to clarify.
Let me ask you this, because this is an important topic that we were all talking about prior to you coming on and Gary coming on as well. The Ali Act. The Muhammad Ali Act is something in boxing that's been put in place to protect, I guess, the fighters from promoters and just shady practices in general. And now what we're seeing in Congress specifically, we're seeing that there may be repeals to the Ali Act. How does that, I guess, affect your business and what you're doing? The Ali Act being repealed. Do you also feel like, is that a good thing or is that a bad thing?
From what I understand of it is that they're not going to repeal the whole thing. They're going to make specific amendments for specific types of organizations. So for promoters like myself, like Top Rank, like Matchroom, I think it's going to be standard procedure. Like, right, the promoter and the manager should be separate, which is a very good thing, right? Just incentives wise, the manager is able to negotiate for the fighter. We're able to negotiate on our behalf. It's a good symbiotic relationship. There's going to be tension sometimes, but that's healthy, right?
Yep.
Fighter wants this pay. We think this is the right pay. We figure out the right pay, with each other, and that's how it should be. Again, more so like akin to basketball. You have an agent and you have a team that has a budget, and you work out the right salary. And if you don't have the right salary, you can go somewhere else. So I think that's a healthy structure. Now, from what I understand of this, what TKO is pushing is to create a separate, what they're calling a UBO, Unified Boxing Organization. So that allows you to have your own belt. That allows you not to be governed by the current sanctioning bodies, right? So I think that TKO getting into boxing, first of all, is a good thing. I think when smart people are getting into a space and investing in it, and creating more content, more opportunities for fighters, that's ultimately positive. And that shows that we're on the right path, right? So I think that's good. But I think it's a completely different structure and model, and it's going to be more like the UFC, and less like standard boxing promotion. So I'm not going to say it's good or bad, but I'm going to say for us, it's not going to change the way that we do business. We're still going to work with managers. We're still going to work with the sanctioning bodies. This is, it's the most obvious thing I could say, but people want that green strap. You know what I mean? Like Muhammad Ali had it, Sugar Ray had it, Floyd had it. People want the WBA, WBO, IBF belt. O'Shea has the IBF world title. Tiara has the WBC world title. So, obviously there is confusion for a fan of having four bodies, who's going to fight who's the champion, who's the interim. There's confusion, but ultimately that's where we want the fighters to be, is have an opportunity to fulfill their lifelong dream of being world champions.
Do you feel like there's ever a place in a position where OTX would have their own belts, given these changes being made to the Ali Act?
We did a partnership with the WBC in our first year to make an OTX WBC belt, which was fire, and our fighters love it. But it was more like a trophy than like a sanctioned title. You know what I'm saying? Okay. And then we did the tournament last year at 154 pounds. So we had, implications with the WBC in that tournament. But I don't think we're going to go the route of like TKO and try to have a closed ecosystem, because I want, I just watched JoJo and Regis last night at 140. Like, I want my guy Breon Gorham to fight one of those guys, right? So if I have my own closed ecosystem, then it doesn't really make a lot of sense. And I don't have the budget or the money to go sign 300 fighters like TKO probably does and just create a closed thing. And what I think they're going to do, look, it's going to be fan friendly because they're going to be all tough fights. Yeah. I think if you're a fighter like Julius Ballo, who we just signed, who was a world level amateur.
Oh, y'all signed Ballo? Y'all signed him?
Yeah, man, we signed Ballo with Top Rank. With Top Rank, it was.
He reminded me like a young Teofimo a little bit.
He's got some Teofimo in him. I sparred him too, bro. He's got some Teo. He's got some. I said Willie Pep. So I might be tripping, but I feel like his speed, his footwork, his movement is just so crazy. But a kid like that, who's a special talent coming out the amateurs, who probably should have been an Olympic gold medalist, which is a different conversation. But a kid like that, like, what's the incentive to go to, a TKO type of route? Because now you're 0-0, and then you're just thrown into the fire into all these 50-50 fights. Your career could be over. 3-4 fights down the line. Like it's just a different model. Like, you still have to, even though our product is action packed, good fights, you still got to develop fighters to get them to that point where they are ready for that. So I believe in competitive matchmaking. I mean, if you watch Julius's pro debut at the Garden on Top Rank, he had a really tough opponent, actually, like a 2-0 guy who probably, if he was moved by a promoter, could get moved. Like, he could probably be like a 15-0 type of kid. Yeah. So we believe in competitive matchmaking, but I'm not going to just throw him into a 50-50 fight on his pro debut. It makes no sense. Like, let him develop, let him get some experiences, see different looks. And then, we're going to move him quick, and he's going to be ready to challenge for a world title, earlier than most.
Now, can you explain to us, what do you feel like it takes to become a promoter? Because we got guys in here, we have all type of people in here. We got fans, we got boxers, we got people of a business mind and business ilk that are maybe like, you know what, I want to become a promoter. How do I do that? What do you think the steps are? What does it take for somebody in here if they wanted to become a promoter?
Yeah, I was on the lucky end, so to say, because I was already at Overtime, a company that is known, has a brand that's recognized, that has funding. So I was able to, get Overtime on board to start a boxing promotion. And at the time, I was a boxing fan and a participant, but I didn't know the business. So I've been learning the business through mentorship, through on-the-job training, through hiring a good team. But if you're starting a promotion from scratch, I mean, first of all, you have to have some money, right? Because to become a licensed promoter, you have to, work with the state and get licensed. You have to put up bond money, which can be like 10 grand. But outside of the money aspect, there's not a high barrier to entry. But to do club shows locally, it's not cheap, right? And then it's hard to make a margin if you don't have really good sponsors. So it's not easy. But if you have a vision, and if you have an eye for talent, you can do it. And a lot of promoters these days, what they do is they're just very good at spotting kind of that diamond in the rough talent early, attaching to them, spending a little bit of money to develop them, but then partnering with a larger promoter, right? So we have some fighters that are partnered. And then, like I just mentioned about Top Rank, like we were able to sign a fighter with Top Rank from scratch, which has never been done before. So that's been a benefit to us, is good relationships. When I came into this business, I didn't say, hey, I'm about to take out everyone, like I'm coming for your neck. That was never the plan. It was, we're going to be additive to boxing. We're going to bring a new fan base to boxing, and we're going to work with everybody so that boxing is going to be better. So that's been our thought process, and that's helped us because people have been very collaborative with us.
Yeah, I love that. Can you tell me about the girl behind you, Lyanna Cruz? I feel like she's got a lot of potential. I've watched some of her fights before. Very tough individual. She like to get in there and fight. That girl a fighter, but also, if we're being honest, she's an attractive woman too, right? Like she can, if you see her social media, she's like, when she dress up, she's dressing up, but she's also a fighter. Can you talk about her and her potential?
Lyanna's a superstar. She's already a star, but everyone doesn't know it yet. So her last fight was probably the craziest performance I've ever seen in my life, up close and personal, because what you have to realize about her is she's really a hooper first. And then she started boxing not that long ago, like comparative to most people, they start when they're a little kid. So she was just an amazing athlete, and she just learned so fast. And she's one of our most skilled fighters at this point. She can switch hits. She can really do it all. So when I saw this fight, it's basically she set up for a world title afterwards. We had her against a really tough Mexican opponent who was a come forward type of opponent. So what I expected Lyanna to do is use her beautiful boxing skills and her footwork and move around the ring. But in the first round, bro, I'm sitting ringside and she like falls over. And I'm like, what happened? Like, did her foot get stepped on? Did she trip? Like, and I saw like a little grimace. I thought maybe she sprained her ankle. I was like, damn, like this is not good. It comes out the second round and she's just standing there in the pocket, catching and shooting and banging with this girl. And I'm like, what is she doing? Does this for 10 rounds straight, bro, against literally the style of that fighter, straight Mexican style banging and doing really good. But it just going to war. And Lyanna wins, a beautiful performance, amazing viewership on that fight for us. That was our record at the time. We just broke our record. But then I go in the ring and she's like, bro, I heard a pop in my knee. And she actually just got surgery. She posted on social, but she tore her ACL in the first round.
Oh shit! So she fought the whole fight with
10 rounds with an ACL tear.
Wow.
10 rounds and won and looked good doing it. And, she's Puerto Rican. She's from, the Philly area. She, she has the look. She has the swag. We just had her announce on our broadcast for our last fight. So she's really just the total package. I couldn't be more excited. We're wishing her a speedy recovery. But when she comes back, she's going to be ready to get that strap. And then I see her as unifying the division, being undisputed, and just being a star and ambassador of the sport.
And she's Puerto Rican, correct?
Correct. So
Okay.
you got to bring her to New York, bring her to Puerto Rico.
Oh yeah, sure. So tell me this: what do you think it takes to be a star today? Right? Like, how do you build a boxing star?
Que lo que.
Yeah.
What does it take to build a boxing star? I mean, I would like to think that we have the tools to do that, right? Like we are what modern boxing promotion looks like. I think traditionally you would just go to Vegas, because you can get a site fee, or go to a casino because you get a site fee. So for us, it's really about bringing boxing back somewhat. I wouldn't say to the hood, but to the hometown, right? So what we try to do is go to markets where we can be the biggest show in town. So Atlanta, we're the biggest show in town. Houston, we're the most consistent, biggest show in town. San Diego, we're already one of the biggest shows in town. But we work with the fighters in those areas so they could organically build their fan base up, right? So they can go from a 1,500 arena to a 5,000 to eventually a 10,000. So that's important. Like fighters need anchor markets, and it can be multiple, but they need anchor markets where they could really move the needle. Then 2 is for us, social media, obviously PR, things like this, but really social media is our superpower. So we have the fastest growing accounts on all of social. We did 6 billion video views last year on social media. It's insanity. Like we're the largest on TikTok. So we're able to amplify our fighter story, because you might not know somebody, but if you connect to them or connect to their story, you're going to attach and want to watch the fight.
Yeah.
And there's different fighters have different personalities, so you got to tap in. So Elijah Pierce, he's brash, he's cocky, he'll talk shit, he'll pull up on you. He had some good work with Tank. So he has a lot of different,
we know that story.
Everybody knows that story now. So him, and then he's been in camp with Frank Martin and Kid Austin. So like he has a lot of elements, and you just take his personality and amplify his personality, right? Whereas Scooby, he played football. He's a special athlete. He's explosive. He's going to try to knock your head off. And he's a little maniacal. So you'll see him like posting the Joker or things like that. So we lean into that. And with O'Shea, she's going to come out with the best ring walk. She's going to dance in the ring. She's going to look swaggy, right? She's dating Khalil Cove. So we just tap into the personality of all the fighters and amplify it and make it known. And of course, you got to be impressive in the fight, right? So I think the thing, if I'm looking at the wolf behind me, he's always going to be exciting. Like fans know that, right? Like sometimes he might come. Last fight he came out.
He got dropped.
He got dropped in the first round. Gave me a heart attack. But the man got up, fought his ass off, and got a highlight K of the year type of knockout, right? Yeah. So Elijah's always going to be exciting. All of our fighters are exciting. And I'll give you one other example. Andreas Katsarakis. He's Greek. We think he can be one of the few like Greek world champions in history. But he went through the OTX tournament, which was a gauntlet, and ended up beating Brandon Adams in the final. So he's not necessarily a loud, in-your-face, shit-talking type of person, but he's just a damn exciting fighter. Like he's going to be in your face, all action, winning big fights. And we're getting some real interesting calls for him right now at the 154 division, which is stacked. So I'll let you speculate on who those people might
be. Okay. Yeah, that is 154 is one of the best divisions in boxing. Exactly. Let me get this question. Brandon Ferguson says, yo, Naj, I might have missed this, but can you ask Brandon about the possibilities of OTX working with Turkey? Obviously, Turkey Al-Sheikh is shaking up the boxing world. He's working with all different promoters. Have there been any talks with you guys and the Turkey Al-Sheikh camp?
Well, we partnered when they came to LA with the Crawford show. We were a part of the team doing some of the marketing and promotion and social media work, and that worked really well. But I think, ultimately, Turkey's been great for boxing. I'm a big fan of what he's doing. I love seeing the consistent high-level matchups, and we just need that right fight to work. And of course, why wouldn't we want to work with them, right? So I think Katz is a perfect example of somebody who's right there. Elijah's right there, to fight someone like a Nick Ball who's been on Turkey's cards. So, I think ultimately what I like about Turkey is he's a real boxing fan, right? His favorite fighters, Roberto Duran and Larry Holmes, like your favorite fighters' favorite fighters. So you know he loves boxing. So if you have a fighter that makes sense for him or makes sense for a matchup that he wants to make, he's going to work with you. So we just have to, nail that, and then we'll be in the mix.
Okay. Let me ask you this, man. I just got a couple more questions before we get up out of here. But OTX, I feel like, again, you guys are making your own mark. It seems like you're in a league of your own. You guys are doing things that no one else is doing. Where do you see it going? Like, where's the ceiling? Where's the goalpost? Where's the place that you all are like, this is where we're going as a promotion and where we're going to end up?
Yeah, look, we want to just continue to maintain our spot, which in my mind is the most innovative promotion in boxing. So if we keep doing that and we keep developing fighters and finding young talent, there's no ceiling to where we can go. But I'm the type of person that looks more at the inputs versus the outcome. So if my team and myself, we keep working hard every day, we keep coming up with new ideas, we have the courage, like I said, to try things. Some people might have thought pink slips was corny, and I've seen backlash online. Some people might be like, why is the promoter getting a fade ringside? I'm like, because it's dope to us. So as long as we keep doing things that are brave and keep pushing the boundaries, I don't think there's really a limit to where we can go. But I'm not going to sit here and say, look, we're going to be the only promoter in boxing and we're going to take over the whole thing. That's not really what I'm looking at. I'm just looking to be successful with OTX, continue to make an imprint and build a brand. I think brand is really the right word. Like, build a brand that this young audience can gravitate to, latch onto, and come back into boxing as real boxing fans.
Yeah, for sure. Now let me ask you this. I'm not trying to get all in your pockets or whatever, but the fans also want to know, like, how much bread are we making? Are we making the bag? Is this, if I become a promoter, I can make the bag? Would you guys say that this is a profitable business for you all thus far?
It's a really lucrative business in boxing promotion. But just like any other business, you could soar to the top and make a lot of money, or you could lose money. So we're doing really well. We're fortunate to be on a good path. But, don't get into a club boxing promotion thinking you're going to make $1 million in your first year. You know what I'm saying? So, if you find the right fighter, though, again, there's plenty of examples in history where a small promoter who was local just found that one fighter. That fighter the way the business can work is, if you get that fighter an opportunity, let's say you get them $1 million opportunity, the standard fee for a promoter is 20%. So if you can get, those fighters in position, you can definitely make a good amount of money.
Now the chat is saying you look like you're getting to the bag. That's what they're saying in the chat.
I appreciate that, y'all. Thank you.
All right. Last but not least, when you're looking at the future stars, and it might not necessarily be an OTX person, but just somebody that you are looking at as boxers that you feel like, man, these guys are doing it right, and I like what this person's doing. Who comes to mind?
Look, there's all the people in OTX, of course. So I'll go outside of OTX with a few examples just to be non-biased. So a couple fighters that I like that are kind of on the younger end. I just saw Emiliano Vargas fight. I think all the ingredients, man.
First of all, he's Mexican. He's good looking. Pause. He got the power. He's doing. I think Emiliano Vargas got this sauce, man.
Yeah, he has this star ingredient. He has the legacy, right? He's kind of like, if you were creating a player, that's a player you would create. You know what I mean? So he's got a lot. The one obvious answer is Abdullah Mason. He's just, again, some people are just exciting in the ring. Like, Emiliano and him are very different in terms of personality.
Yeah,
Abdullah is just exciting as hell. And in the last fight, not the one in Norfolk, but the one before, where he got dropped.
He dropped the guy,
and he got dropped again. That was crazy.
Crazy.
You know what I mean? So I think Abdullah, I want to see him open up more, tell a little bit more of his story. But I love him from an in-ring, and just like his family, they're great people. And then one more would be Kermel Moten. I mean, he's just got all the skill set. He's exciting. He came up through the Mayweather camp. So that, people have been watching him since he was probably 10 years old. And he's hopefully can live up to that hype that he's had the whole time. But, he's a very exciting fighter.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Yo, listen, man, Brandon, I appreciate you pulling up. Good brother. This was a super dope episode and very informative for our fans and our listeners here. Lastly, I guess just OTX. What do you want people to think about it and view? Like, what do y'all as a company? Just how do y'all want people to see OTX?
Well, I just want y'all to watch. So follow us at Overtime Boxing on all platforms. Tune into our shows, buy a ticket, pull up, see the experience. But bro, like, I think when you build a brand, people are ultimately going to determine what that brand is. So all you can do is put out your best foot forward. And some of the things that I've heard is this is the best fight experience that I've ever had live, right? People who have been to a million boxing events, people who have been to UFC, WWE, all the things say this is a special in-venue experience. We do things different. So that's one. Two, we innovate on the rules and change the game while still having respect for the sport. And I think that's important because we love boxing ourselves. And three, bringing a new audience into the sport, audience that was maybe strictly UFC or just kind of didn't pay attention. So I would say those three things. And when I put all those things in a pot, I think of the most innovative promotion in boxing.
Okay. Well, listen, man, we're definitely looking forward to continue to watch and support. Like I said, we watched as a community the last fight, and a lot of people enjoyed that, man. And especially, what was the other guy from Philly that Bozy was training? I forgot his name.
Haven Brady.
Oh, Brady, that fight right there, that was a great fight. Brady versus the other dude. I forgot his name.
The Michael Harris.
Great fight right there.
Yeah, let me just say something about that real quick because I can't leave without talking about that fight. Haven put on a 10-round masterclass, and you know he's a great fighter, technically sound. He's been in the gym with Bozy for years now, sparring with Andy, sparring with Boots, sparring with Cool Boy. And this was a fight where it was two Atlanta-based fighters. Well, Haven's from Albany, Georgia, who were talking a lot of shit going into that fight. Michael, you know, he had Trinidad James walk him out. He's been in Creed. He the dude, he's a power puncher. Like if you look at his sparring clips, he's knocking people out in the gym. So we were like, man, Haven's our guy, and this is going to be a tough fight, like different styles. And Haven just put on a 10-round belt to ass masterclass.
Absolutely.
He was over there looking at us, me and Britton, during the fight, being like, "It's fun time. You see what I'm doing?" He was going crazy.
He was doing the boots. He did the Matrix slow motion. He was
the turnaround. He did the spin around.
He was doing it. I was like, nah, he's bugging out right now. He's wilding right now.
He went crazy. He went crazy. Okay. So Haven's a special fighter, man. He went crazy.
Absolutely. Well, listen, Brandon, I appreciate you pulling up, good brother. Thank you for sharing your story with us. And we look forward to having you and your fighters in the future. Actually, we gotta get Lyanna Cruz on the show as well.
Let's do it. Anytime you want.
Okay. Well, I appreciate you pulling up, good brother. Thank you, man.
All right, y'all. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.
All right. Later. Come on, y'all. Come on, man. We had some dope episode. Mr. Gary Russell. My man, Brandon Rhodes, the head of OTX. Come on, man. We're bringing the